So today we're going to talk about the lessons that we can learn from the life of the Śākymuni Buddha. And many of you know that why we have this program, especially that you observed 8 precepts today, especially to not just to celebrate, to pay respect for the events that happen on this day. Prince Siddhartha was born, and then ascetic Siddhartha was awakened, and then he became the Buddha, and then Buddha Gautama passed away, right? So these are the main 3 events that happened today. So as I told you at the beginning, that we're gonna actually take a look at what kind of lessons we can learn from the life of Gautama Buddha. I mean, a lot of people, what they do is that they learn the teachings of the Buddha. They don't actually pay much attention to the life of the Buddha, right? So that's our emphasis today. So do you guys have any idea about it? And that's an important topic, right? Okay, so maybe if I ask you a question, what kind of lessons that you can learn from the life of the Śākymuni Buddha? Do you know any lessons that you learn by reading his life? Do you know any lessons that you noted in his life? Yeah.
Desires and attachments can cause suffering.
I mean, that's one of his teachings, right? I mean, what have you noted in his life? I mean, that we can learn from his life, not from just his teachings, right? How he worked to become the Buddha, right? So I would give you an example, then you can think about the same thing, right? I would say, okay, did he have enough freedom to find this utmost freedom, which you call Buddhahood? Did he have enough freedom? Okay, that's a good thing that we can learn from his life. Do we have enough freedom to find our freedom in our life too? No? Okay. Do you have freedom?
Yeah.
What type of freedom do you guys have?
Our rights, human rights.
Human rights? Okay. I mean, what type of freedom you don't have that you think?
Like freedom to, as in, own a house or something like that. Like, there are some things that we can't, like, do ourselves at this age. Like, per se, have a job, or like, we don't have the freedom to choose like what house we live in, sort of like that, or like what environment we live in.
Do you mean like you don't have a choice to find or to buy the house whatever you want? Do you think you don't have any freedom to go to the environment that you really want?
Not at this age. It's mainly our parents, right? Because they're the ones with the money and all those things.
We have limitations.
Limitations.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have the basic freedom, right?
Yeah.
The basic freedom.
Like freedom of your speech, how to think however you want.
What about your studies? Do you have enough freedom in your studies
Yeah.
to choose whatever you want?
Mm-hmm.
To choose the sport that you really want, that you're really passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
Is it so? Yes?
No,
No.
because like you have gym class and then teacher decides, or like your classes that you have to do in school, the Ontario curriculum decides.
Okay.
So we can't actually pick and choose what we want to learn.
Well, there is certain amount of freedom at once.
It's like a limited type of freedom, right?
It's only limited for a certain amount of time, right? After, like when you get into grades 11, 12, and then post-secondary education, you can there's no main focus in like elementary or middle school, but once you get into high school, you can start taking those specialized courses, physics, chemistry, biology. Then in university, you can really, or university college, you can really choose like what you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but even so, you don't get to, even in high school, you don't get to choose every single class that you want. You have to.
And tomorrow in grade 11 and 12, we do practical.
Okay.
Like, you're not allowed to choose every single class that you want.
Not every single class. But
I mean, if I put this whole thing into this kind of a conversation, do you have enough freedom to choose the food that you want to eat? Let's say healthy food, not just the fast food. Do you make choices about the food? Huh? It depends. Are you more into the fast food or the superfood, like healthy food?
You can choose what you want to eat, but your parents and your guardians are like filters, right? They're the people who provide you with your food. You don't, at this age, you don't have the money to provide for yourself. So even if you do want fast food, if you come in that, you say, no, you're eating kolamanun but today you're eating kolamanun.
I mean, that is more into like a very healthy schedule, but sometimes healthy foods are good, but we don't make a good choice about the food at some time. So I was wondering about the freedom to choose the food that we really want. I mean, in terms of health, and conversations happening across the world. So that's one freedom to choose the food. Maybe you can change, the style of food. What about the freedom about? Do you change the thinking style that you used to have sometimes? Oh, okay. What type of freedom do you have to change the thinking pattern?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that sometimes we think that the thinking style pattern or the way that we think about something, look at something, need to be changed, updated, or revised. That is not really inclusive, wise.
Yeah, you can choose however you want the thing and however your thought processes is. Like, if you want to think in a more logical manner, then that's what you like. That's what you want to do. That's your choice. It's one of those things where nobody can restrict you. It's your thought process. Your mind. Nobody else can really control that. All they can do is possibly influence.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, we have a freedom to, make our choices, make the good choices, not to make poor choices. Do you think some people in the world, they have no choices in making these choices? Yes. Okay, for the food, for the ideas, no democracy, no that much human rights, no equality. So then think about the freedom. So now what we can learn from the Buddha is that he found Alara Kalama, Uddaka Ramaputta, and the 5 ascetics that he met in search of this truth were not good enough to reach out his goal. And then what he did, he politely declined the requests made by them, and then he switched to his own freedom in search of the truth. Okay, that's one lesson that we can learn from the life of the Śākymuni Buddha. What about other things? Other things that we can learn from his life?
To live in moderation,
Living in moderation. Did he live in moderation?
Well, at some points, like with the 5 ascetics, he starved himself for 6 years.
Yeah.
Which isn't moderation, sort of extreme. But then he learned throughout his life that moderation is it's key almost. That's what he created, that's like one of his teachings, to live in moderation, middle path.
Okay, so what is middle path? it is neither the
Neither is
self-mortification and nor the overindulgence in the sensual pleasure. So that's something that we can learn from him. So we need to do things, everything in moderation. Eating, talking, what else?
sleepy.
Education, sports, everything in moderation. But do you think there is a fixed thing called moderation for each one?
No.
Like a generalized notion, this is the moderation that happens to everybody? No. So that is a case specific thing.
There's a certain limit for moderation within each activity, right? Because some activities can be more impactful than others. Like for example, like very popular topic on moderation is like video games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversial in the media.
Mhm.
So what's it? So like gaming, playing video games the whole day is it's not good.
Yeah.
It's too extreme. But playing for maybe 2-3 hours, even 5 maybe.
What if someone is to decide that 2 hours is fine, maximum? Somebody else can say 3 hours. How does that go?
It depends on the person, right?
Perspective.
It's all about. There's no fixed. Like, yeah, scientists say one thing, but at the end of the day, you choose how you want to moderate your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to moderate, that's your choice. But obviously, there is like certain
Okay.
boundaries where you.
So I mean, that number of hours could vary from 2 to 3, 4. But everyone know that there should be a boundary for these
Yeah.
things,
There's
right?
lines you shouldn't
Huh?
cross. There's lines that you shouldn't cross.
Cross. Okay.
And then there are like different circumstances. So like in Randina's example, like say a scientist says 2 hours max. If you don't even have a video game console, then you're not like that doesn't really apply to you. So it depends on the person and like their circumstances of like who
Okay.
they are with everything.
But anyway, everybody thinks that they should not cross the lines of that boundary so that they are fine, good, right? Okay, so then moderation. Do you think that there should be a moderation for the moderation, even for the moderation too? Yeah, we shouldn't actually keep this as a concept. Moderation is something that is really, really comfortable, a place where we set up our limits in a very comfortable, peaceful level. Okay, that's another one. What about his life, like when he was helping other people? Did he have any sort of like a different way that he approached people? Did he speed up for some people, approaching some people? Did he actually delay his trips for some people? Oh yeah, so he had a priority list. So he usually attended for the most needy person first, and then the least needy person, right? For example, you know that he had something called Mahakaruna. Have you heard this term? Mahakaruna, great compassion. Every day early morning, I don't know for how many hours, he usually look into people that he should go and help on the day. He does that on the same day, early morning. Let's say someone is gonna die today, he's gonna speeding up that trip because he can't prevent that happening. But at least he's gonna be reborn in a good place, or he gets to learn Dharma. Do you remember a story called Bahiya Daruchiriya? Okay, the Bahiya Daruchiriya was a man who went on a voyage. Do you know what is voyage like?
Yeah.
Okay, even in the sea. What happened? Halfway of the trip, the ship was wrecked, and then he grabbed a plank and then swim to the other shore. What happened then? He didn't know anybody else there because he lost all the other friends. He used planks to cover up his body and then show other people, I'm a new arahant. Because wearing a different type of, this not a garland, right? There are planks. He covered up his body with planks and then showed other people, hey, I'm a very spiritual person, right? You have to respect me. One of the moms of his life in a future, in a previous life,
she appeared in front of him and then said, "What you're doing is not good. This is not being an arahant. The Buddha lives in Savatthi. You should go there and then approach him to understand what is being an arahant." And then what happened? He went to Savatthi. At that time, Buddha was going on his alms round. And then he requested Buddha, "Can you give me a teaching?" Right? And then what happened? Then Buddha said, Buddha didn't say anything actually. He was quiet. And the second time he requested, Buddha didn't say anything. He was quiet because he was actually focused on his alms round, Pindapata, right? Do you know what is Pindapata? So monks go with their bowls and then people actually put food into the bowl, right? So that is Pindapata. Third time he requested again, and then Buddha looked at what's going on here. And then he saw this man is going to die in few hours from now. So then I should give him a teaching very fast. What he said to him? Ditte ditte matta. If you see something, just think that I saw that, nothing more, nothing much more than it. Sute sutta matta. If you hear something, just think I just hear and nothing much more than. I'm not actually developing that seeing, hearing anything. Basically Buddha asked him to be very objective about the things that he gets. But what do? We are very subjective, right? When we hear something, we're gonna repeat that. We wanna actually hear that again. When we see somebody that we think that we like that person, we wanna see that person, repeatedly, or maybe in other ways, right? So and then he gave this teaching to him, and then he passed away. And then before he passed away, he became an arahant because of this teaching. So that was one of his trips he made for a person by speeding up. So then he had a schedule to help people in two ways, starting from the most needy person and then going down to the least needy person. So do we have a good schedule, priority list when we are helping other people? Do we have something like that? Do you help other people? Okay, but do you have a schedule that you think that I should help this person first, and then because I have more time, or that person has more time?
Depends on who you see first. Like, you don't. It's hard to. You can't. It's not possible to predict. Oh, I need to have this person, or then after I'm going to have this person. Like, it happens when you see it. It's like. See it walking into a building, right, downtown or wherever, and you see a man carrying heavy books, and he can't open the door. So then you see that, and then you think, okay, I'll help him out. I'll open that door for him. So open the door for him, and then maybe you don't do anything else for the next few hours, sort of. You don't see, because you don't see it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you see something else, or maybe you see a homeless guy on the street, so maybe you give him like $5, $10 or whatever. Then you go on your way, because it's what you see first. You can't predict what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but
do you think that we need to have a kind of a way that we should approach people when we are helping? Sometimes we need to speed up. Sometimes we know that we should not speed up that fast, right?
You should be aware of like who how you're approaching, and like why you're approaching them. Like, what's your reason for approaching them? Are they in need of money? Do they need them to open the door for them? Like, what do they need from you? like
That you
sort
could
of
provide.
that you can like help them almost.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so anyway, we should have a kind of a way that we should approach people to help out, right? So then, what do you think about the compassion? Do you know like this popular word called empathy, right? Do you see any difference between empathy and compassion?
They're not like
What is empathy? What is compassion?
Well, I'm guessing compassionate means you're caring for everyone.
Care for everyone. And what is empathy like then?
Isn't empathy like feeling the emotions that they feel?
Yes, yes. So you can actually feel the same type of feelings of the other person, and then probably that person is actually really angry, and you want to feel the same anger.
You want to understand them?
You understand them, but compassion is a much more bigger concept. In compassion, what happens is that you are trying to help out that person from a very wise perspective. You understand it, and then you really want to help out that person to alleviate that suffering that they are going through. So then, do you think now there is a clear distinction between empathy and compassion, right?
Yeah, compassion is more of a broader.
It's a wider concept, yeah.
It's not a more empathy is more specific.
Yeah.
In where you're trying to see another person's perspective on something almost, right? Let's say, I don't know, they lost a hockey game, right? They feel bad about themselves, whatever. Let's say, and so you try to understand what it feels like to be in their like perspective, their shoes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas compassion is more broader, right? It's just being nice to everyone, right?
Okay.
Despite how, like, maybe they're not the nicest to you, but you're still nice and kind.
Okay.
You still show compassion. It's a much more broader on the surface stuff.
How often do you get empathetic, and how often do you get compassionate? Is there a huge difference that you? Are you more into empathy? Are you guys more into empathy? Or are you guys more into compassion?
Because you can't be empathetic without knowing what another person's actually going through, right?
Yeah.
You can't like be empathetic just like that. You have to actually know what a person's going through.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually try to understand what they're going through.
You have to know how they feel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then whereas sympathy is you just not much there's not as much thought as there is in empathy, right?
Okay,
So
that sounds good.
empathy is more you have to actually think
Okay,
and
So-
really think about it.
yeah, okay, sounds good. And now you understand, Buddha had the great compassion, not just a compassion. Going beyond empathy, he had something called great compassion, right? So that's another thing that we're gonna learn. Now in the West or across the world, that people are more talking about compassion, much more than mindfulness. In the West, what do you know about mindfulness? Now we kind of like conscious that people are more into mindfulness meditation. But in the mindfulness meditation, what many people want to do is that to be non-judgmental about the moment. But the Buddhist practice about mindfulness is not that. It is something much more than that. You're gonna relate your kusala into the focus, right? So that's a different practice. That was what many people doing across the world. But nowadays, many talk about compassion. Why? With the material culture across the world, people pay less attention to understand, respect other people. Do you think so? Yes. A lot of shootings happening, people becoming more selfish, right? So we need more compassion. We need to understand. We need to respect other people. We should think that we should coexist, right? Okay, so that is great compassion. And then I want to talk about something as a lesson that we can learn from the Buddha, Śākymuni Buddha, is that how he dealt with people who were angry. I don't know whether you know this story. There was a Brahmin called Akkosaka. The name itself means that he was, blaming other people more often for whatever the reasons. And one day he approached the Buddha, and then he started blaming the Buddha. Right? And then what did Buddha do? He was blaming a lot. He's continuously blaming. Buddha didn't talk anything. Why? Why is that? There is something called when you know that the other person is angry, is it good to respond? Sometimes you need to wait until the anger is gone. Right? Because that person is angry. He's not in the presence of mind. Do you think that when you're angry, you should talk to other people? Why is it? Why is it?
It depends what you're trying to get out of it, right? If you're trying to release your anger, it depends, because some people, every person is different when they're angry. Some people are less aware when they're angry. Some people are this and that when they're angry. So every person is different when they're angry. But I mean, if you're trying to, sort of resolve your anger by talking to someone, I mean, yeah. But if you're trying to, if you're trying to spread that negativity onto others, then you should probably just talk to others.
Yeah, actually, I'm not talking about the different reasons why people are getting angry. We're going to talk about what's the normal, like a common approach to anger, right? Each person's anger, why they became angry, could be different, right? But normally, in all our lives, when we are angry, we should not, speed up responding to others, right? We take a few breaths, and then we should understand that we are angry. Right? So that's a normal approach for all the types of anger that can come from ourselves and from others. And the Buddha didn't talk anything. Buddha knew that talking to this person at this point would not make any sense. He continuously, blame, and then at some point he stopped. And then Buddha asked, "Are you done?" He said, "Yes." And Buddha said, "Could I ask you some questions?" He said, "Yes, you could ask some questions." What was the question that Buddha asked? That do visitors come to your house? Now he asked from the Brahmin. And the Brahmin said, "Yes, there are many visitors visit my house." And then Buddha asked, "Do you treat them with sweets? Confectionaries?" He said, "Yes. I'm a very hospitable guy. I treat everybody who come to my house. I don't leave them, I don't want them to leave my house without getting them served with those delicious sweets." Okay, and Buddha said, "Now you came to see me, and then you gave me a treat with the blame. I don't want to accept that. Just take it back." So that was how he acted with an angry man. So that's something good for some people. Not everybody, as you brought up. Everybody is different. But sometimes when you stop talking at an angry person, that person getting so mad, throw things at you. Can this happen? Things can get escalated, right? So you have to be careful. I mean, each one is different, right? When everybody is getting angry, the situation is very different from one to one. But what could we learn from the attitude of the Buddha is that we have to carefully see what's going on. We have to see why this person is getting angry. We have to find the safety first and then to respond to this person. Okay, so that is the most important thing at that point. So what other lessons can we learn from him? Hmm? What other lessons could you learn from his life? Huh?
Gratitude to others.
Gratitude to others. How did Buddha teach us to be grateful? How did he teach us? Hmm? Right after he became the Buddha, he spent 7 special weeks. In the second special week, what he did? He was respectful. He was appreciative, paying respect to the Bodhi tree. How he did that?
He stared at the Bodhi tree without closing his eyes for 1 week.
Stared at the Bodhi tree for 1 week. Does it make sense? That doesn't make sense. Huh? I mean, when we look at this...
It's not a normal way to. It's not a
normal way to look at it. That's why. If we look at this incident in a much normal way, we don't see that.
Everyone has different ways of showing gratitude.
Okay.
Some people more normal or more more plain than others. Some people might show gratitude with a card, thank you card. Some people might show gratitude with money. Some people might show gratitude with a big sweet. There's different ways of showing gratitude.
Okay. I mean, different people use different techniques. What are the other places where we find that Buddha was grateful towards his things? Was he grateful for his mom, dad? How did he pay respect? How was he grateful for them? His mom passed away after 7 days of his birth. Yeah.
He went to the heaven where his mom
Yes.
and then he preached.
He preached the Dharma to her, right? He spent there like I think around 3 months in there, right? One full year. But there are kind of confusions happening because now the time in the heaven and time in the human world has a difference, right? So, but anyway, say he spent there like for 3 months or around that time. Did he pay appreciation to his father? Yes, he did. And his wife, former wife? Yes. Son? Yes. Stepmother? Yes. Cousins? Yes. Who was his enemy all the time? Was he grateful towards him too? Yeah. Right? So he had the same compassion, same appreciation all the time towards everybody who helped him, right? So that's what we should learn. How can you be grateful towards things, people that help you out? Do you have many people who help you out to this point of your life? Who are they?
Friends,
Huh?
like family, friends,
Okay.
teachers, even enemies. They shape you to be who you are.
Okay. How did your parents help you?
They're the ones who provide for us. They're willing to waste money to provide for us. Camera,
Objective things.
education. Good shelter and all that, and just just all those things.
Have they ever been tough on you?
Of course, yeah.
Really? Which way? For what?
School weather.
Huh?
School weather.
For your schoolwork, homework?
Oh yeah, 'cause they want the best for you. If you don't try your best.
Every
Oh,
parent.
what are the reasons? Have they been tough on you?
Maybe getting a little lower mark on school weather.
It's about the letter grades. I mean, in addition to the letter grades, what are the other things that have they been tough on you? Somebody raised hand, right? You?
Yeah. Like by not doing your homework is one thing.
Okay. Homework, right? Mm-hmm. And then?
For doing things you weren't supposed to.
Okay. Not supposed to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have something to say? What reasons do your parents have been tough on you? Have they been tough on you at some point? Yes. You don't want to share with us. That's more private, confidential. Okay. So anyway, gratitude. What else can we learn from him? Hmm? Okay, now we talked about how he dealt with the people who were angry, and then did he help people who were going to commit suicide?
Yeah.
Who were really, really fed up of their life? Did he help? Who were those people?
There was a girl who had long hair,
Mm-hmm.
and then her master always held on her hair.
Yeah, Rajumala.
And then she cut her hair,
Uh-huh.
and then her master saw that she cut her hair so he could pull it,
Okay.
and then she lifted her up by her clothes, and then he beat her, and then she went to a well, and when the Buddha was walking by, she pretended to take the rope that she was going to hang with to dip it in the bucket, but the Buddha knew what she was going to do, and
Mhm.
she preached the Dharma to him.
Yeah, she's gonna commit suicide, right? And he helped him. He helped her actually at that point because he knew that she would do that. Rajumala, right? And then Kisa Gautami. Who's Kisa Gautami? She was a lady, huh? Her son died, and then what happened? Yeah,
Wanted her son to come back to life, so she came to the Buddha and
asked whether you can get him back to the life, right? And what happened? What did Buddha say? Find me mustard. Handful of mustard, right? Okay. And then what happened? What did she do?
She went to the houses.
She went from house to house and then asked. And Buddha had a condition on her. You're gonna find a handful of mustard, right? Mustard, but
From a house that
nobody has, passed away, right? And then what happened? She went from house to house
but she couldn't find anyone, and then she found
where there were no people who passed away, right? And then she understood halfway of the trip, everybody is subject to die. That's a hard thing to understand, right? Not just from a book. Who are the others? Patachara. You know who is she? Looks like you haven't learned those interesting things in the Buddha life, right? Life of the Buddha. Patachara was a woman who lost her husband, children, parents, everybody. Huh?
the eagle,
Eagle, and
and
then her, I think, and parents died from a fire, and then one of the son was taken by the flood,
one of the
and she was fully devastated. And what happened then? She approached the Buddha. She was naked, approaching the Buddha in Savatthi, and somebody threw a cloth. And then, what did Buddha say? Be mindful in the first place, and then Buddha help her understand what's going on. Then, develop a liking towards the secular life, and then to understand Dharma. How about Devadatta, the enemy monk? How did he act towards the Buddha? What did he want actually?
to become the center of attention.
He want to be the Buddha. He thought that by killing the Buddha can make him the Buddha. It's like a position. Can that happen? No, it's an awakening. Can't. He used some hitman, to kill the Buddha. Didn't work, right? He threw stones too, Didn't work that much.
But one of the stones hit his foot, and
One of the stone, and he says that it was a past karma of Buddha, right? But Buddha didn't get, angry or whatever things. So he was actually keeping his peace of mind all the time when he was treated bad, right? Do you think peace of mind is very important to us? Yes, we really want the peace of mind all the time. When you study, when you
when you walk, when you talk to someone, when you live. We need that. That's a good thing to learn from him. What else can we learn from the Buddha? I have a bunch of things, but I'm asking you to talk about it, right? Determination. For what? For the goals, yeah. He set up his goal to understand the truth, right? And then, as I told you, that he had enough freedom to find out to go on a path to find the better freedom, right? Buddhatva. That's something we already learned. And what else? Okay, how did Buddha greet somebody? Buddha had two words actually that we know. Pubbahasi, pubbabhasi. When somebody is to come to see him, from afar, he's the first one to smile. I mean, a welcome smile, to welcome somebody. Hey, I welcome you. Right? And then that's called pubbahasi. And then after approaching the Buddha was the first one who started the conversation. How are you, and all those things. Now in the modern world, we can't smile with everybody, right? There are a lot of strangers, right? What do your parents tell you when you go to school? Huh? Do they tell you to talk to strangers?
No.
Huh?
No.
No. Why? We don't know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Do you smile at strangers too?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Why?
It's like, it's not like, it's a nice gesture, like,
It's a nice gesture.
yeah, you're not really talking to them, or you're not saying anything to them.
But you wanna
It's kind
keep.
of a double standard because they tell you not to talk to them, but it's kind of rude not to be like nice to them or use nice gestures. So again, it's a double standard.
It's double standard. But anyway, that you feel that initially you kind of like showing them that you welcome them, right? So that's more important, right? So Buddha was like that.
I think it depends on who the person is.
Yeah.
With someone like in your neighborhood, and like you think you've seen them before.
I mean, they become neighbors, right? They not become strangers, right? You know the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Neighboring houses and who they are, and right? I'm talking about strangers, actually, pretty much strangers.
Like if someone that you know introduces you to someone, they're technically a stranger, but since your acquaintance is friends with them, they're kind of not a stranger. You know them through like
Yeah, anyway, that we have to take precaution at some points. Whom we're going to talk to, and how do we do that? How do we do that welcoming thing, right? What else can we learn? We talk about many things, right? Do you get so happy when somebody compliments you for something you done?
Yeah.
Do you get so down when somebody makes a constructive criticism? The same person? No? That's good. That's been good. Huh? So Buddha asks us to stay balanced, right? Humbly you accepting the compliment. At the same time, somebody constructively criticizes you for something. You can accept that. How do we do compliments? We have to be careful, right? Sometimes when we compliment someone, we have to be careful about the situation, time, place, right? So is the constructive criticism, right? Be careful. That's something we can learn from the Buddha too. He approaches some people privately. Did he help animals too?
Yeah.
Okay, what animals did he help?
I remember in a Kagabak, I'm not sure what it's called, but a lion
Elephant? Oh, lion.
Yeah.
But it was at the time of being a bodhisattva, right? Not as being the Buddha, right?
Yeah.
Because bodhisattva time is such a very big time, it's a long time. So you can talk about many things. I was specifically focusing on the time that he spent being the Buddha, actually. There was one elephant called Parileya who helped him during a time that he left the temple, because two types of monks was quarreling each other about an issue in a washroom. Some said there should be a bucket of water inside the toilet. Some said no, and Buddha couldn't settle this with the monks. He left the temple. So devotees stopped giving dana, and then he went to the forest. In the forest, an elephant called Parileya helped. Maybe some monkeys too. I can't remember how many, but they helped too.
I think I remember where a pigeon, or did they shot the pigeon with the arrow? A swan, yeah, sorry.
That was before
Oh, okay.
he became a monk, right? When they were, I think, children. I think. Yeah, but he saved, right? I think that was the place where this enmity started in the last life. This Devadatta got really mad at that. He said that I'm the one who shot the pigeon, and I owe this pigeon.
Wasn't it a swan?
Swan. I'm sorry, swan. And then what did he say? And he said, not the person who shot the swan deserves you, but the person who saved the swan. It was actually, it was a really nice way of seeing that, right? As I told you a few weeks ago, I think in the class, sometimes some things are legal, right, but they are not morally good, right? What things are they?
Drinking.
Huh?
Drinking is legal.
What's that?
Drinking.
Drinking is legal, okay.
And drugs and smoking.
I mean, in terms of killing, there's hunting legal, right?
Yeah.
But for the people who follow the Buddhist teachings, I mean, on a moral note, that we know, that even that is legal, right? But that is not morally good, right?
Yeah.
What about fishing?
Legal.
It's legal, right, huh? But not morally good for us, because we appreciate the life of everybody, any being, be that an animal, anybody else, right? What is that whole concept called? Karma, right? So I think we talked about many, many lessons that we can learn from the life of the Buddha, I think, right? To name again that having freedom, keeping freedom to find the better freedom in our life, from different angles, from different aspects, and then great compassion, gratitude, helping out those who gave up their lives, like Rajumala, Patachara, and so, and saving animals, and working towards animal cruelty, that Buddha appreciates the lives, and dealing with the people who were untamed, right? Buddha had a lot of exposure to such people. Do you remember what happened with Angulimala? Do you know him? No. You have read about him. Eh? Who was he? He was a serial killer, right? Killed like more than 900 people, right? 99 people. And then what happened? The king said he and his special forces would go tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, and then catch him, or gonna kill him. And then his mom heard this. So even mom knew that my son is very dangerous, but she thought, I should help him, right? That's how the motherly love, right? And then what happened? Buddha knew this. Buddha knew that his mom
would go tomorrow, and then she would get killed by this killer. So now he speeded up for this guy. And then what happened?
Didn't he cut fingers?
Yeah, he killed for the fingers actually, because he was asked to. I'm gonna explain to you the story too. What happened actually? His real name was Ahinsaka, innocent. The name is innocent. Ahinsaka means innocent person. What happened? He was the brilliant guy in the class. He had the best results of all the examinations. Others, they were envious, not jealous. Do you see a difference between envy and jealousy? Yes. What is envy? What is jealousy?
Jealousy is like you want to have what someone else has, and envy is you're mad at them.
You're mad at them, right? So there's a clear distinction between envy and jealousy. They are not like same, right? So they were envious about his results, and then they fabricated a lie. What was the lie they fabricated? Ahinsaka is having an affair with your wife. They're telling the teacher this, the students. And the teacher was mad. And he asked, at that time, every student, upon the completion of the studies, has to pay a tribute to the teacher. So he said, now you're going to do an early tribute to me. You go, you're going to make me a garland of human fingers, actually. Okay, I'm going to do that for you. That's the tribute.
With 1,000
1,000 fingers. He didn't know what's going on, why he asked this. He didn't know. He thought that the teacher was asking something really, really seriously. And he became a serial killer. And then what happened? Buddha saw him, and he thought, he was very happy. Today, there's a monk. I can kill easily, monks can't run, yeah, so they have a rope, right? He was very happy about it. And then he said, stop, monk over there. And Buddha said, I already stopped, but you running. This was the thing that made this big change. The Buddha said, I already stopped, but you running, you're still running. But though Angulimala, now the name that was given to him after he was killing people was Angulimala. Angulimala was wise in a certain extent. He thought, okay, what is this stopping and running? Okay, that's samsara. So I'm still in the samsara, but this monk stopped samsara. And then he became a monk, and he became an arahant. And then what happened was that, now on that day he came with the Buddha to the temple. The following day, the king and his special forces, on their way to the forest to kill him, catch or kill him, they visited the temple. And then they visited the Buddha. And then they asked the Buddha, they were having greeting, have a good talk with Buddha. And Buddha asked, where do you go from the king? The king said, there's this type of serial killer in the forest. We're going to kill him. Or catch him or kill him. And Buddha said, what do you, king, think if this serial killer has become a monk under my guidance, and would you respect him? He said, yes, I would. Because he became a monk. So this is Angulimala. Next to him. They were really scared of him, He was a serial killer. And they respected him, right? So Buddha, in that way, because Buddha didn't want him to kill the mother, right? But he really wanted to go see him. But at that point, before he, before he takes his mother's life, he helped out, right? So that's something that we get to learn. So he was actually helping out the people who were really untamed. Okay, I think time is up at this point. So now let's share all the good karmas that we been having so far with the departed people and relatives and the deities, heavenly beings. May all the departed relatives and the deities or heavenly beings attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana with all this good karma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we can move on to the puja. So take a few minutes of break, and then we're going to do the puja after. Thank you.